Hey all, Zook here, back with another boss guide, this time for Prowling Magus and their congregation. This is widely considered to be one of the easier boss fights in the game, but don't let yourself get lulled into a false sense of security, because it has the potential to overwhelm you if you let it. So I'll quickly walk you through what to expect during the fight, and give you some strategies that can help keep the plethora of enemies from cornering you in dangerous positions. Now, starting off, I'll mention Prowling Magus will be weak to lightning and dark, while the congregation is weakest to dark attacks. The only resistances to mention are that Magus has a slight resistance to magic, and the priests have a decent resistance to lightning damage. For a weapon buff, if you have Dark Pine Resin, either from buying from Falcon or if you picked it up in No Man's Wharf, use the Dark Pine. However, I'm assuming Gold Pine Resin is the most accessible for you at this point, so I would just recommend using Gold Pine since the difference isn't going to be that huge when it comes to the damage against the priests. This is one of the few bosses where you do have specific inventory items that can change the playing field in your favor. In particular, I recommend getting fire bombs from Malentia, or if you join the Blue Sentinels, you can also buy holy water urns from Targray, since they do double damage to hollowed enemies, but the difference really isn't worth the 5 or 10 minute trip to join the Sentinels and buy those items from Targray. So I would just use fire bombs. Now for my gear, I'll have rapier in the main hand and put the crossbow in the offhand slot. This will effectively let me use the crossbow to deal with walking hollows while still keeping the resin active on my rapier. While it may not seem necessary for this fight, I honestly cannot stress enough how game changing it is when you learn to use your bow in the offhand, especially for several of the late game and DLC fights, so this is a really good fight to practice that on. And finally, I'll also point out the rings I have equipped for the fight. I keep the normal Ring of Blades, Old Leo Ring, and Chloranthy +1. Those are going to be pretty constant over almost all boss fights. However, I'm swapping out Silver Serpent Ring for the Stone Ring for this fight. This will allow me to stagger every enemy in the arena with just one hit, making Magus and the priests in particular much less of a threat. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the different moves you'll see from the 4 types of enemies in here. Then I'll show you a fight with a melee build, and a fight using Dark Fog that'll take about 20 seconds. Alrighty, so for the first strategy, if you have 25 intelligence, 14 faith, and you picked up the Dark Fog Hex, either buying it from Straight or grabbing it at the bottom of the gutter, then this fight will take all of 2 R1s to beat. We're going to just run in through the center of the whole entire congregation, turn around at the pews and cast Dark Fog once on the right side and once on the left side, then just get behind cover and wait it out. You can help speed along the process by shooting something at the Magus, or if you want to also help the priests along, you can do that. But as long as you didn't miss one of the hollows, which as you can see, I did actually miss one of the hollows with the dark fog, but as long as you don't miss anything, then it's super easy. And the other quick thing that I'll mention is I did have the blue Clearstone Ring and Lion Mage set from the foggy part of Shaded Woods and the ruined house outside the pathway up to Najka's boss fog respectively, since all of those items increase casting speed for a fight. Now, onto the second strategy here. We'll be using regular weapons that you don't have to specifically level for, since that's kind of the downside of Dark Fog, is that you might not have leveled Intelligence and Faith. And we'll still start off the same way. We're going to run straight in and go through the middle of the group to activate the Magus's Wrath of the Gods attack. And then we're safe once we pass the first line of pews. So we'll just turn around and it takes 3 to 4 attacks to kill one of the priests, depending on whether or not you've buffed your weapon. And I'm going to wait behind the first row of pews, throw a firebomb, go to the second row, throw another firebomb, now to the third, throw a firebomb. And the reason why I'm kind of incrementally moving backwards is because the hollows can only attack you from the front or from the sides. So they can only reach the back of the room however fast you let them reach the back of the room. So it's the difference between being able to get in 4 fire bombs as opposed to 2 fire bombs by the time that they reach the back of the room. Because as soon as they're in the back, then you have no safe spot behind you anymore. But you can pick them off with a crossbow as well. Crossbow does about 5 times more damage than regular arrows, so use a crossbow. And as soon as the walking hollows are down, this fight's really easy because you can just kind of strafe your way around the room and pick them off one by one as you get them alone. As you can see, every single hit that we do with the stone ring equipped is going to stagger every enemy in here. And as far as these crawly hollows, you can do a jump attack. However, a jump attack might leave you vulnerable if you don't get all the crawly hollows that are next to each other. So I recommend, again, just use a crossbow. And that's the fight. So as you can see, it's quite an easy fight as long as you don't let yourself get overwhelmed. But with that, we have defeated the congregation, and I hope that this video helped. I will catch you in the next one.